J.K. Rowling torched a transgender activist who took issue with her properly calling him a man and reported her to the police. Not only did she take down this transgender activist, but she torched the interviewer as well as the media outlet where the transgender activist made the claim that he reported Rowling to the police. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is over at thatparkplace.com, where transgender activist Jonathon Willoughby, who pretends to be a woman and pretends to use the name India, said he reported Harry Potter novelist J.K. Rowling to the police. Willoughby did this interview with a Byline TV. If you want to read portions of it, you can do that over at thatparkplace.com. I will have the link in the description below, but this is the pertinent information right here. Willoughby was asked how he is going to respond to Rowling calling him a man, properly calling him a man. And he said, well, I've been to the police and I've reported it as an issue. I contacted Northumbria Constabulary yesterday. I reported J.K. Rowling to the police for what she said. I don't know if that's going to be treated as a hate crime, malicious communications, but it's a cut and dry offense as far as I'm concerned. Well, Rowling had something to say about that. And as I said, she brought the receipts. This is what she posted on X. Some time ago, lawyers advised me that not only did I have a clearly winnable case against Jonathon Willoughby for defamation, but that Jonathon's obsessive targeting of me over the past few years may meet the legal threshold for harassment. So it looks like projection again from these activists. They are always accusing you of what they are doing. And it looks like this is a case of that again, as Jonathon Willoughby is the one who has been harassing J.K. Rowling apparently for years. And he's the one who's now trying to report her to the police for properly identifying him as a man. But Rowling didn't stop there. She continued, I ignored this advice because I couldn't be bothered giving Jonathon the publicity he so clearly craves. Nevertheless, we must all do our bit to combat hate. So Jonathon will be glad to know I've taken note of his homophobia, racism, and humane stance on immigration. Rowling then shared the posts from Willoughby. There, she did indeed bring the receipts. You can see those over at thatparkplace.com. I'm not going to get into them right here. But she continued saying, nor have I forgotten India's or Jonathon's shocking transphobia. It appears to have slipped what passes for Jonathon's mind that he's previously called a fellow trans woman a man on this very site. You can see the receipt there. So obviously just kind of calling out his hypocrisy, right? Surprisingly, for such an eminent legal authority, he appears to have forgotten that the Forstater ruling established that gender-critical views can be protected in law as a philosophical belief. No law compels anyone to pretend to believe that Jonathon is a woman. Aware as I am that it's an offense to lie to law enforcement, I'll simply have to explain to the police that, in my view, Jonathon is a classic example of the male narcissist who lives in a state of perpetual rage, that he can't compel women to take him at his own valuation. So very, very blistering takedown by J.K. Rowling of this transgender activist, Jonathon Willoughby. And as I said earlier, she not only took down Willoughby, she took down reporter, I believe his name is Caolan Robertson. So he shared this video, Robertson did, where he literally calls Willoughby him twice. Let's take a listen to this right here.
That full interview will drop tonight on Byline TV's YouTube channel, so you should definitely check it out. In that, I use journalistic integrity. I questioned them about the rise of detrans.
So you can see he says him right there. Question him.
Transitioners. I questioned them about some of the
question him again.
Darker side of the trans community and some of the issues that women have raised and cis women.
So you can hear that he says him twice. He tries to cover it up by using them in the captions, but it's very clearly that he says him. And Rowling called him out for that, said, extraordinary. India's interview calls, or Jonathon's interviewer calls Jonathon him twice. The police are going to be very busy. Robertson denied it multiple times. You can see that right here. He says on X, clearly, I did not call Jonathon him. And then Julia Hartley Brewer was like, yeah, you did, because she heard it. And then he's like, don't be insane, Julia. So he's literally trying to downplay all of this when anyone who has ears to hear heard exactly what he said. But nevertheless, he's trying to obfuscate. What's interesting, though, is that he did issue this apology earlier this morning, at least for us here in the United States. He wrote this: I apologize unreservedly to J.K. Rowling. And then he shared this image. He says, I'm completely sorry for my behavior towards J.K. Rowling last night, and I apologize to her for the unforgivable and inexcusable language I used. It won't happen again. Rowling said, I accept your apology, and I'd ask any supporters of mine giving Caolan grief to please stop now. I didn't ask for this apology. It was made spontaneously, and a good faith gesture deserves equal good faith from the other side. I'm really, really sorry. My comments to you were completely horrible. Honestly, I had a breakdown last night. I really respect you and appreciate this so much. It'll be interesting to see if he actually apologizes for calling everyone liars when they clearly heard what he had to say, if he issues an apology there. I actually don't think we should be giving this guy a good faith gesture, given the fact that he's already lied so often. So I actually disagree with J.K. Rowling about this. And obviously, he, he was just telling that he was allowing Jonathon Willoughby to spout all of his nonsense as well, spreading the lie, which is the sin of scandal, as well as breaking the Eighth Amendment. So I don't think that we should be giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think he does need to not only apologize, but he has to atone. He has to atone for his actions. And I really haven't seen him do that yet. And as far as maybe what he's apologizing for, he is like the founder and creative director for Byline TV. So he probably runs their Twitter account. And this is what their Twitter account said in a now deleted post. Said the community notes on our interview with Jonathon Willoughby about J.K. Rowling are deeply transphobic and prove that things have gone totally downhill on this site since Elon Musk took over. Dumpster fires. So clearly attacking J.K. Rowling, accusing her of being transphobic. Rowling responded to that in a lengthy post here, where she kind of does expose herself as the leftist that she is. But she does kind of take down his accusation of her being transphobic. She says the word transphobic as used here does not mean an irrational fear or dislike of trans people. It means refusing to use gender identity ideologies jargon, refusing to parrot its slogans, refusing to accept that sex doesn't matter when it comes to sport and single-sex spaces, refusing to believe a bearded heterosexual man becomes a lesbian when he declares himself one, and refusing to believe an abusive, misogynistic male is a woman because he likes to wear mini dresses and pout in selfies. Like every other gender critical person I know, she clearly doesn't know me and probably a lot of other Christians. But she goes on and says, I believe everyone should be free to express themselves however they wish, dress however they please, call themselves whatever they want, sleep with any consenting adult who wishes to sleep with them, and that trans identified people should have the same protections regarding employment, housing, freedom of speech, and personal safety every other citizen is entitled to. Obviously, as a Catholic, as a Christian, I do not believe in what she is saying here. I do not believe people have the right to sleep with anyone that they want. Obviously, homosexual acts are a sin and they should be outlawed. But that is my opinion as a Catholic. Nevertheless, she goes on and says, but this isn't nearly enough. But just to go back to this, you can see that she is pushing her left-wing ideas right here too, right? Obviously, she can condemn the transgender ideology, and that's all well and good, but then she's pushing her left-wing ideology at the same time, and that is wrong as well. We need to condemn that. And obviously, the whole reason why the transgender ideology is here is because of all of these things she's talking about here. The slippery slope is indeed real. If you've been alive for at least the past 30 years, you've seen it. You've seen how it works. But nevertheless, she goes on and says, but this isn't nearly enough for the dominant strain of trans activism, which asserts that unless freedom of speech is removed from dissenters, unless trans-identified men are permitted to strip away women's rights, with particular reference to single-sex spaces like rape crisis centers, prison cells, hospital wards, changing rooms, and public bathrooms, until we all bow down to their neo-religion, accept their pseudoscientific claims, and embrace their circular reasoning, trans people are more oppressed and more at risk than any other group in society. This is nonsense. She's right. It is complete nonsense. 99.9% of the world knows it's nonsense. I actually probably disagree with that. I think there's a lot of people who buy into a lot of this stuff and do indeed believe it. I don't think 99% knows it's nonsense. Unfortunately, that's just not the world that we live in. As I said, slippery slope is real. Lots of people's minds have been tainted by what Elon Musk calls the woke mind virus. But Rowling concludes saying the emperor is naked. He might be wearing lipstick, but his balls are swinging in plain sight. So pretty tough words there. I do think she gets some of this stuff wrong, but she does take down the transgender ideology pretty good there, and puts on blast Byline TV and Caolan Robertson. But let me know what you guys make of what J.K. Rowling had to say here. I do applaud her for standing up against this transgender ideology, but she still has a long way to go on a lot of her other issues that she is promoting. But it is good to see her fight against the transgender ideology. Let me know what you make of what J.K. Rowling had to say here. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.